Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here Tuesday, May 13th, a couple days away from the Jaguars schedule release. We did just find out officially that the Jaguars will be hosting the Rams at Wembley Stadium October 19th, I believe it is. So the Rams East versus the Rams West in London. Pretty cool, right? I joke obviously about Jags being Rams East, but kind of is. You got former Rams offensive coordinator as your head coach, former Rams head of the draft as your general manager, lots of Rams front office guys. It's a heavy Rams influence here in Jacksonville. But continuing to roll through the Jaguars draft picks and kind of do a deep dive and really explain why the Jaguars were interested in these players and what they bring to the football field. And we've gotten through the fourth round. Jaguars didn't have any fifth round picks. So we get to Jalen McLeod today. The defensive player, we'll say, from Auburn. He's 22 years old, fifth year senior. When you look at age, some of the guys the Jaguars drafted were a little bit older, but 22 is right in line with kind of the average age of an NFL draft pick. So not an older prospect by any stretch of the imagination, even though he's a fifth-year senior. And he was the 18th pick in round 6, again, by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And McLeod, there's a few things I think that pop out when you talk about McLeod. A, versatility. Played edge, played off ball. I think did both at a fairly high level. So you see that, his ability to play 3-4 outside linebacker. He even lines up with a hand or two in the dirt, from like 7 to 9 tech. So there's versatility there in terms of how he can align on the edge, but then he can also line up off the ball and really diagnoses things pretty well. I don't think he was in an overly complex defense in terms of what they were asking him to do as an off-ball linebacker, but his ability to read what's happening in the backfield, to understand his assignment, and to click and close as an off-ball backer, I think is pretty impressive overall. But I think the Jaguars are going to want to have him more focused on being a pass rusher. Obviously, the versatility is great. It's also great that he has special teams experience. Again, anybody that's going to be making a roster on the back end needs to be able to play special teams, and Jalen McLeod can definitely play special teams. Another thing that pops out on tape with him is his energy, his desire, like his effort is at a premium consistently, and you love to see that in a player. Whether it's on the edge, like he's not the biggest guy, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. He's 6'2", 241 at the combine. Arm length was 32 1/4, but if you've been paying attention this year, combine arm lengths have been all over the place, and they were very inaccurate. So that is not really a great way to determine really a guy's measurements in terms of the arm length this year. Trying to see if we had any other measurements for him. I know this is great podcasting, right? But I did want to check to see if there was any other measurements that we could get on him to see if there was something that seemed a little bit more accurate. Because when I look at him, he doesn't scream short arms. Yeah, at the Senior Bowl, he came in with 32 3/4, which, at his size, 6'1.5", 6'2", with 32 3/4, that's good proportional length. And he's able to win with leverage because he's shorter than most of the guys he's going against. He's also more flexible and bendy, right? When I look at his athletic profile, I think about a guy who does have some explosiveness off the ball. He's quick off the ball, but I see a lot of fluidity and flexibility in his movements, right? As a pass rusher, let's focus there first, because I think that's where the Jaguars are going to want to focus him based on his skill set and based on the needs of the roster. They really don't need another off-ball linebacker right now. when you look at the roster. But they do need somebody to step up and be their edge 4. I think they absolutely do, because you added Emmanuel Ogbah, great step in the right direction in terms of having that veteran presence as an edge 3 behind Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. But beyond that, you need somebody to step up and be a reliable edge 4, somebody who can be a designated pass rusher type, who can come in and get the job done in different ways for you. I think Jalen McLeod can do that. I really do. As a pass rusher, again, you see the explosiveness off the ball. You see a lot of flexibility and bend outside arc, which is impressive. You also see he loves to hit the cross chop when he's trying to hit that outside shoulder and get around the outside of a tackle. He hits it with pretty good regularity. I mean, you look at his pass rush stats from Auburn, and you have to keep in mind some of the stats, it's a little skewed because he's also, it counts as a pass rush when you blitz, and he's a good blitzer too, off ball. But you look at the last 3 years for him playing a lot of football, and in 2022 it was App State, transferred over to Auburn in 2023, and he's been their best pass rusher each of the last 2 years. 37 pressures in 2023 with 6 sacks, 32 pressures in 2024 with 7 sacks, and he played a lot of off ball the last couple years. So when you look at his numbers, look at how many pass rushes he has, 206 pass rushes in 2024 and 32 pressures. That's pretty good. 7 sacks, 6 hits, 19 quarterback hurries, around the football a ton. One thing you notice when you pop on the tape with him, he's always punching at the ball. And so I think this is a guy that when he continues to hone his ability to do that, you see the peanut punching. You see when he gets around the edge, you saw him strip Jalen Milroe. So that's something that he can do for sure. And you do see some counters with him. Inside spin counter. You see the ability to throw multiple pass rush moves and try to kind of build off of what he does well. And you also see like he can threaten the edge with that quickness and speed and fluidity and then cross the face of the tackle, which that's something you got to be able to do. If you can threaten the outside arc, the outside edge, and then cross the face and then win on the inside shoulder, that can be really beneficial. So I think you see some nuance to the rush, a lot of traits that you're looking for, enough length, especially proportionally, natural leverage. He plays stronger than you would expect at somebody that's about 240 pounds. But I will say, again, at 240, if you're having him line up against throw out any big starting offensive tackle, if you're having him line up and go head on head against one of these guys in a gap power scheme rush, that might not go very well. I do think against outside zone rushes, he'll be fine. I also think RPOs, he'll be fine because guys can't really drive off the ball and get straight up field. And then also, if he's getting lined up against a tight end, he's going to blow that tight end up. And he's going to make them remember that rep, and they're not going to like it, right? So I see that a lot from him. But again, the one weakness I would say for Jalen McLeod is just as a run defender, he's not going to be as big as a lot of the tackles he's going against. And if they're just trying to run the ball straight at him, if they're trying to get a tackle going straight at Jalen McLeod, that can lead to a disadvantage, right? Other than that, and the thing about McLeod, too, is you've got 3 big dudes. Josh Hines-Allen, big, strong, great run defender. Trayvon Walker, great run defender. Emmanuel Ogbah, another big guy. Jalen McLeod is that changeup. And the Jaguars talked about wanting a changeup with a player that they would land in the draft. I think they absolutely got that with Jalen McLeod. And I liked Yasir Abdullah a good bit coming out. He was more of just a pure speed, get up the field type of guy. Miles Cole coming out, and we're just talking about some of the guys that Jalen McLeod could be competing with for edge 4. Miles Cole coming out, it was all traits. There wasn't really much exciting on his tape. Jalen McLeod has a lot of exciting on his tape. And I think there's more nuance. I think that there's more strength than what you saw from Yasir Abdullah coming out of Louisville. I don't know how he fell to the 6th round. And something I've been thinking about, like, one of the reasons it seemed like everybody was in love with Jalen Walker was just like the person he is, the leader he is, all that stuff. And Jalen Walker, another edge / off-ball linebacker, and he went top 15 to the Falcons at 15 overall. How does Jalen McLeod fall to the 6th round when he's really a more nuanced rusher by a wide margin? I think people might say, well, Jalen Walker's got a little bit more explosiveness, violence. I see a lot of that in Jalen McLeod's game. And I see a much more nuanced rusher, a much more productive rusher. He's like a year older, but I mean, is that really going to take you from being a top 15 pick to a 6th round pick? And to be fair, I didn't think that Jalen Walker should be a top 15 pick. But I could easily see Jalen McLeod producing at a day 2 level in the NFL. And the role the Jaguars are going to be asking him to produce in this year, asking him and hoping that he can provide, is edge 4 with some versatility to move around. You think about some of the guys that Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile has worked with and both on the field and coaching wise. Just think about Brian Flores, what he's been able to do with some tweener guys that can rush the passer but can also drop in coverage and play that way. Think about Andrew Van Ginkel. I think Jalen McLeod can play that role. I do. And so as an edge 4, I think he's going to get it done for the Jaguars. I also see in the pass rush department some Byron Young, the Rams edge rusher out of Tennessee. I think you see some of the similar traits there. Young was probably a little bit quicker and more explosive, but there's some similar traits there in just terms of the pass rusher. Outside linebacker in a 3-4. So this is a pick that's got me excited. I mean, at the very least, you're getting a high-effort, good athlete who plays with his hair on fire. But I think you're actually getting more than that because there's some nuance with the pass rush. There's some versatility. There's a guy who's willing to bust his butt on special teams. So to me, this was a great 6th round pick, a guy that Jaguars fans are really going to like the way he plays. He's got that Duval energy to him. The Jaguars have had some guys like that throughout the years that can kind of rush the passer, that can play some linebacker. And I think Jalen McLeod's going to be able to do that. And I don't really see anything on tape that says otherwise. The one thing I would say, if you're talking about him as just a true edge, probably not going to be winning a lot of reps against a gap / power scheme rushing attack that's just trying to run the ball right at him. But if he's lining up against tight ends, if he's lining up against wide zone, outside zone, and also, like, are you asking him to set the edge against a power rushing team, or are you asking him to shoot a gap? Because those are two different things, and I think he can definitely shoot the gap. I think he can definitely make the guy miss and make a play. So I'm excited to see this guy. I'm really excited to see him over the next several months in practice. And I think that preseason is going to be a big opportunity for him to show what he can really do here in Jacksonville and earn that edge 4 spot. I think he has the inside track, quite frankly, because he's the only draft pick at edge for the Jaguars from this regime. Obviously, it's going to be Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, Emmanuel Ogbah. And then I think Jalen McLeod's going to have the inside track, both based on a skill set and based on the fact that this regime is the regime that brought him in, and they didn't bring any of those other guys in that we've talked about. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.